Even on days where the Canes shake it up once again with a Mikko Rantanen trade, sending him to Dallas, the NFL calendar does not slow down. We'll come back to the Canes in a little bit. We'll come back to Duke UNC in a little bit. But 3 days from legal tampering in the NFL, which means on Monday, teams can start talking to free agents from other teams. They can start negotiating deals. They can start legal tampering is an oxymoron. It's not tampering if it's legal, but essentially the floodgates open. You'll start getting the Schefter, so-and-so has come to terms with, expects to sign with XYZ team starting on Monday. The Panthers, Dan Morgan, that front office, they should learn a little bit from the Kane situation. And what I mean by that is be prepared for any and everything, right? If you would have gone back to the offseason for the Canes and said you are going to trade for Mikko Rantanen 6-7 weeks before the trade deadline, they probably would have been like, no way. But it happened, so they better have had a plan for it. And if you would have went back to when they traded for Mikko Rantanen, if you would have told them you're going to be trading him away before the trade deadline, they would have said no way. But they better have prepared for it. They better have had a plan. So if you're the Panthers, you have until Monday to be ready for all of the expected and unexpected things that might come your way. What that means for me is have your own house in order, right? Make all the decisions, or at least have a great idea of what the decisions are involving the players that are already on your roster. I would love to get news of a JC Horn extension before Monday, or news that this offseason will not be a JC Horn extension offseason. Like whatever, so you can build the rest of your offseason around it. I believe a lot, like the reason that so much of the NHL trade deadline felt slow and then there was this furious last 3 hours was because so many were waiting for the Mikko Rantanen decision from the Canes. You don't want the Panthers to have to wait on so many of their decisions because they have to wait on what's going on with JC Horn. You don't want to put yourself in that holding pattern. JC Horn, if he's going to be one of your key guys, one of your cornerstones, if you're going to build around him, get the contract on the book so you know what you're building around. Miles Sanders has a roster bonus coming on. I believe it's the second or third day of the new league year. So you're looking at next Wednesday, Thursday. If you're going to have Miles Sanders on your roster, probably is going to require some kind of restructuring of that contract. And if you're going to release him, make that decision so you can start planning the rest of your running back room, especially with the knowledge that Jonathan Brooks probably won't be available all year. And then the things you don't have to wait for. If somebody is allowed to go out there and seek a trade, or if someone had already been released, you don't have to wait for everybody, right? You don't have to wait for contracts to expire for everybody. If you want to go get DK Metcalf, you can announce that right now, right? If you want to go agree with Seattle on bringing in DK Metcalf, you do not have to wait. If that's your deal, go do it. Evaluate, right? Because that's the other thing. Right, I have your own house in order. Not everything can be decided, right? You can't decide on the small dominoes till the big dominoes fall. You can't decide if you want to pursue somebody like Evan Ingram, tight end from Jacksonville that was released yesterday, until maybe you know what's going on with DK Metcalf, or until you know what's going on with Chris Godwin, right? Other pass catchers. They're wide receivers versus a tight end that pretty much plays wide receiver. But my point is evaluate them so if and when you strike out with your number one option, it's not, okay, let's figure out plan B. It's everybody, plan B's in effect. Get so-and-so on the line. We're executing the next deal. I don't think Evan Ingram would be a bad player to bring to Carolina if the price is right, which is what I say about everything. If he wants too much, never mind. But that's all. It fits within the puzzle. It fits within the puzzle. So you have a weekend. Guess what? You don't really have a weekend. Hopefully you've been doing this for months. But you have a weekend. You're probably not going to sleep much over the next 2 weeks if you're in the front office of any NFL team. It's actually kind of hilarious. Again, relating it to the Canes news.
Yeah.
Right. I've got a today is the, I don't know if it's a birthday, the 1 month birthday of my daughter. She was born exactly 1 month ago. So last night, right, what my wife does the feeding, And then, you got to keep her upright, let her burp. So I'm up for random 10, 15-minute periods in the middle of the night, checking my phone at 2:30 in the morning, expecting just the drivel of what is normally on Twitter at 2:30 in the morning when nothing is going on. And I'm seeing updates on Dallas and the Canes have an agreement on a trade. It's that crazy. That's what it's going to be for the NFL starting Monday, probably starting Sunday night. And you don't want to be in a midnight negotiation with another team and you're trying to wake up scouts so they can tell you what they think of a player. You want to have all that locked and loaded, ready to go. Evaluate your team now, have it all set, have it all done, over-prepare, over-research, have opinions on guys who you don't think are going to be available. How will they fit? How will they not fit? So when it all comes down, when the idea is brought about, you'll be ready.
Have contingencies.
Have contingencies, and I don't even know if it's a contingency. Again, I don't know. Somebody earlier on the caller said, I don't think Mikko Rantanen's a top 10 player in the NHL. Cool. What, top 20? Top 25, whatever it is?
Still elite.
Really good player. You can have your evaluation, but do you think the Panthers are out there evaluating what top 10, top 20 players are doing in the NFL? Probably not. You're probably how would, A.J. Brown fit on your roster? You're probably not doing that. But if you're talking to Philly about, someone else on the roster and somehow it pops up, they're willing to move on from him for the right price, you better darn sure have your opinions in order, right? It's really, you have to know everything about everyone all the time in the NFL to be an equipped GM. And then once you hear it, you go. Or a perfect example. This might have been a better example of when Tyreek Hill was traded to the Dolphins. Mike McDaniels tells the story of the GM calling, going hey, do you want Tyreek Hill? And he's like, yes, I already have plays drawn up. Oh my, somebody with that. The Chiefs are selling Tyreek Hill, and it's yeah, you have to be ready for that because you're not sure. And the Dolphins weren't anybody at that point in time. They weren't some powerhouse. They weren't the new hot team. Mike McDaniels was a quirky new head coach with a lot of references to hip hop in his social media. That's what he was.